tonight. Okay? And then come out and have fun. The gates are locked. Ain't nobody getting out now. They can't run. The gates are locked. Let's bring the fight to them, guys. Yes, sir. Hey, brother. Let's pray.
The Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at netsn.live.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome. It's Week 15 Regional Finals here on bEast from the East. It's your boy, Mr. NETSN, Brett Swinney, joined tonight by KO Kyle Owens and Jaron Peoples. Welcome, fellas.
What's up?
What's up?
Man, it's Week 15 already, guys. I mean, it seems like we were just in Week 1.
It's zero week, huh?
Yeah, the zero. Well, it's no longer 0 week. It's Week 1 now. They do Week 11. You know, it used to be the 0 week. But, yeah, officially it is Week 15, regional finals, and we've got a lot to talk about. But before we get started, Kyle, we have a special guest tonight. And no, it's the Darth Vader theme is not playing. So don't it's not that. It's not Darth Vader. We do have a theme for him though. I'm gonna bring him in with a little Ricky Starks. Our friend from up in the Northeast Texas area. It's Morgan Smith, the owner of Texarkana Game Day and Longview Game Day. Morgan, welcome.
What's going on, guys? Good to see you.
What's up, Morgan?
What's up? What's up?
I didn't get the memo to turn my phone horizontal, I guess. I'm just noticing that now.
It's okay. It's okay. Thanks for joining us, Morgan. And for those that have never heard of you, which is kind of hard to believe, let everybody know what you guys are doing up there at Texarkana Game Day and Longview Game Day. Kind of similar to what we do, just up in that area of the East Texas area.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of similarities to what you guys are doing and ourselves. In Texarkana, we cover a pretty big area. Longview, we just cover the Lobos. We stream, we do, the ultimate goal from day one's kind of been to be an ESPN for high schools in our area, and that's ventured into college a little bit and some into the pros. So been fun, man. We're in year 5 and kind of hard to believe it's been that long.
It does go fast. It does. And so we got our personal apology. Buddy's not here, but we apologize, Ellie. We were wrong. Even though they almost gave it away. I don't know what happened the second half. I didn't get to see a lot of it, but
Yeah,
all of a sudden the game was close.
It went
again.
south. It went south and went south in a hurry. But I think that problem worked itself out. That they'll be good to go against Malakoff.
Yeah, they're going to need to bring that.
They're
not going to be able to do that this week. They're going to have to play a full game.
Yeah, I was at the PG Carthage game, and of course I was listening to that game, and I was like, God, they're going to beat them by 90 points, and they didn't take starters out or anything. I was like, what is going on? I kind of quit watching, listening, and then I would go back periodically. What's happening? How do you go from scoring 60 to nothing?
That's you're what you just said there is what I thought about my picks. I'm like, what is happening here? Like, I'm self-proclaimed pick'em champ here on NETSN. Okay. I usually am the highest of everyone. Unfortunately, fellas, you guys had a chance to catch me this week. You gained a couple, but a 3-7 week. That's probably the worst week I've ever had. I can't even remember having
3-7 in a week 3 playoff picks.
3-7.
That's rough.
There was some tough ones this week. Hey, just to show that how rough it was, we had 2 people with 8. That was it. That was the highest. David Martin and Skip Neverland give them congratulations. And in that number 3 spot, there were several, but a NETSN personality, Jason Cavazos, one of our broadcasters, is in that second spot with 7. Guys, just so we're clear, how bad did you do? I know what y'all did, but it wasn't too much better than me.
I went 5-5. I did not do well, as we'll get into later on. I did not pick the correct teams this week, so I didn't have a good week either. But it wasn't 3-7. Yeah. But I did have that 2-8 a couple weeks ago, so it was it hadn't been great picks for me.
I was 4-6, so not great.
So together we would have been close to 10 out of 10 there, huh? Like, yeah. Yeah, we would have got 11, so that's not too great. There was some tough ones on this picks, and we try to make it tough. I mean, we're getting down to the nitty gritty where there's not as many games to pick, and we got a few wild card games that are some big matchups around the state to add to this week's picks. But let's just go at it and start from the very first game. It was a game that I helped call over in Henderson as Joaquin, the number 4 seed out of that district, knocks off Shelbyville, man. And this game, guys, was all Joaquin from the get-go. They won 54-30. Man, they ran their stuff. They played defense and ran the ball. We've talked about over and over. I feel like I've repeated myself, but that travels when you can run the ball. And the defense was all over DJ Barnes, the star quarterback from Shelbyville. I mean, they were in the backfield as he snapped it. I mean, they were all over him, forced him to throw quickly. I talked to Coach Jones a little bit this week, and he was super, super pleased on how they played, and they came out. And, Kyle, you remember what I said a while ago about a certain theme not playing?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
It's happening.
Here he is.
It's happening.
Uh-oh.
Hey, making his color commentary debut this week with Aaron, Honeygrove versus Joaquin. It's the professor, Matt.
Really?
Matt,
I made it.
We were just talking about Joaquin's big win over Shelbyville. How impressed were you with that?
I mean, Joaquin has played this erratic style of football where you don't know how good they are because they play up, they play down, they play to the level of the competition. But when the game is on the line, they are playing really well, and I think that's a Honeygrove intangible that we're going to have to keep an eye on. Because if it's close, you never know what you're going to see there. You never know what you're going to see there.
Man, well, and you guys, I don't know if y'all got to catch any of the game. Kyle, you were out of the game, but man, I think if you could have picked a perfect half for Coach Jones and the Joaquin Rams, they played it like. They went down, they scored. They went for 2. They don't kick. They go for 2 every time. So they had a perfection, 32 points in the first half. Really just held Shelbyville at bay all game. And once you get behind on a team like Joaquin and they're chipping off 3, 4, 5 yards, and then they hit you with that 10, 15-yard, and you can't stop them, it's kind of hard to come from behind, even with a high-powered offense like Shelbyville. I think they put up like 70 the week before too. So very impressive win. Did anybody pick Joaquin in this game? Because I didn't. I had Shelbyville. I think we all did. But man, it didn't start well for me, and game 2 didn't help either. As I'm sorry, Morgan. I picked Newton, and it backfired on me. And we're back now. We got the technical issues fixed. Let's talk Pleasant Grove Carthage. There was a couple of you guys that were at that game. I was kind of keeping my eye on it. On a great stream produced by you guys over there, Morgan. I enjoyed getting to watch it while I was at my game. We'll start with you. I know Pleasant Grove and Carthage, we kind of marked that the state championship game as maybe having to meet this early in the playoffs, kind of disappointing. But what are your thoughts on you getting to cover Pleasant Grove all year, how they performed against a Carthage Bulldog team that's pretty good over there in Carthage?
Yeah, I mean, everything started for us at Pleasant Grove year 1, and we have a good relationship with them. I'd say great relationship with them. It is tough to see that group. Listen, like, we knew this game was going to happen in round 3 last year. Pleasant Grove with 8 seniors. That's it. One of them being the 5-star Lance Jackson. Van has no chance against Carthage. I mean, whoever gets to play Carthage in the state championship game is going to get absolutely blown out. Pleasant Grove played them good, I thought. The defense played a great game until that fourth quarter. Their offense just could not get anything going. Hats off to Carthage, and everybody knows how well they prepare. I mean, they have a great football team. I mean, they were the preseason pick to win state for a reason. And man, as a Pleasant Grove fan, it's tough to see. But 7 points through 3 quarters, giving up against a great Carthage team and that great running back. I would say the defense did their job. They just could absolutely get nothing going on offense.
Kyle, what about you? You were there.
Yeah, no, I think it was the same thing. When I was going over the stats again today, just looking at it, it didn't feel like it was just 7-0 at the end. Like, going into that fourth quarter, it didn't feel like it was a 7-0 game. Like, there was early controversy with an illegal touching that was called on Pleasant Grove, which was weird how the ball was fumbled, but somehow it was an illegal touching. It was a strange scenario to kick off the game, and that kind of set the tone. It was just a physical defensive battle. I mean, both defenses came to play on Friday afternoon, and Morgan brings up a great point. Like, Pleasant Grove's defense to hold KJ Edwards and Benny Smith and those guys to just 7 points through 3 quarters is a phenomenal effort by that defense. It was almost a tell, kind of like last week when I said, Garrison's defense played really well. They just got outplayed defensively by Wascom. It was the same thing. I mean, Pleasant Grove's defense, they play that defensive game against anybody else, they probably win that game 9 times out of 10. But Carthage just outplayed them defensively on that day. And Pleasant Grove's going to be back next year. They got a lot of youngsters on that team that are going to be really good and really ready to go next year. So, but yeah, Carthage is Carthage. They are a very, very good team. They showed why they are a good team, and that's a tell of a good team to kind of, take the blows all through the game, and then fourth quarter, just those big runs. Benny Smith in that fourth quarter, those two, that 40-yarder and 38-yarder, just kind of sealed the deal, and just kind of took the breath out of the whole stadium after that. But excellent effort by Pleasant Grove, and Carthage is just, like you said, Morgan. I think whoever gets to play Carthage at state is gonna have.
They're gonna get embarrassed on national television. I mean,
yeah,
that's just. I mean, it could very well be 50-0. You see here like Wimberley down on the other side, which I'm not a Wimberley hater. I just don't respect the path it takes for them to get there, and I don't like that the UIL put Carthage back in this region when they previously weren't. We get a bad state championship game in 4A Division II, which we're all big Texas high school football fans, and I think that that's although geographically it looks like they should be over here, it's unjust for state championship football. If we're going to show the best Texas has to offer on national television for 4 days straight, that's not what they're getting. The fan in Ohio is not watching what the best Texas has to offer. They're watching one of the best Texas has to offer, but there's no reason we should be playing state championship games in round 3 when you knowingly can just put them back in the region they were in, and we get a PG Gilmer in or a PG or Gilmer playing Carthage typically in a state championship game, which is a great football game. So they're going to go. They're going to go.
Why they didn't want to do that? They don't like these Texas. I mean, right? I think that's probably why.
Yeah, I mean, like these schools. Let's say in that other region, where they're like, well, we have no chance at ever playing for a state championship game if they're in there. But the argument has to be, yeah, somebody will buy these rights for the state championship game. But listen, if we're going to continuously act like this is unbelievable, state championship week, it's not until you get to the 5A and 6A schools, they're not good games. I mean, last year was the first time I didn't go, and I mean, I just wasn't excited about going. I mean, there weren't going to be any good games till Friday night and Saturday. It's just blowout after blowout after blowout. And I don't know what the UIL needs to do. I mean, I do know what they need to do, but I know what they're not going to do. So yeah, hey, we watched some state championship games last week, and we'll watch another one, this week with South Oak Cliff. Why P&G and South Oak Cliff are in the same region? Still, I don't even know why that's happening. How does that happen? Like who complained enough for them to move that? Like that doesn't even make sense at all. Yeah, I can make an argument for the Carthage one, but that makes no sense.
Hey, Diggs, is P&G a DFW school?
It is not, but I mean, it has traditionally, for whatever reason, they've kind of when they start doing the regions. We saw this with Lufkin the last couple of years. They kind of just go east and go south, and if you go east and south from this area, that's where you get to that, and then they kind of work back over. I don't like it either, but it is what it is, and
it's almost like they're forcing a West Texas team into the state championship game, and they're still not getting in the state championship game. Like all you got to do is be better than Austin or San Antonio team, and you can get in, and it's still not happening.
Problem is, Morgan, I hear what you're saying. You have very valid points, but the UIL cannot have the foresight 2 years in advance to know what these playoff games are going to look like, who's going to be good, what the surprises are. Yeah, we can maybe make a guess, but I mean, I don't think we could say with 80% certainty who's going to be elite in 2026. I mean, I just
listen. I can. Carthage is going to be elite in 2026. DeSoto is going to be elite in 2026. Duncanville is going to be an elite. North Shore is going to be elite. P&G is going to be elite. Listen, it's the same teams playing for the state championship every year.
I mean,
but I'm just saying, every year it's the same teams. It's a name we know, and that's why we're tuning in. But there might be one random one, and they're going to get beat by 50. But it's the same teams over and over and over. I mean, like they're programs that we're watching play for state championship games, not football teams.
And I hear you, and I'm looking at, and I look at what we're seeing, like in 5A Division I, for instance. The North is going to destroy the South, and I think there was a graphic that went viral last year that had all of the state champions on a map, and other than P&G, it was all north of like 190. It was just all the northern teams that were winning state, even in 6-man. And I don't know what the South has got to do to be able to rise up again. To quote Waylon Jennings or something, but I mean, the South is not rising up in the state of Texas in high school football, and it is sad. And I don't, we're talking about that region. Remember, Waco La Vega last year was in that district with China Spring and Stephenville up in the north, and now they're looking at this like we can go to the state championship because they dropped one class, and all of a sudden they're in Region 3, and that's a wide open route to get destroyed by Carthage. I will say, Graham, if they beat Brock the way they beat them the first time, that's got to be concerning for Carthage because Graham is good enough the way they play, and you could have a Glen Rose repeat from last year.
Yeah, I haven't watched them play.
Coach is dumb enough to come back to the Star again on a Friday in the state semifinals or quarterfinals.
I mean, they might as well just go ahead and order their rings. I mean, but I think Graham might be the team that could give them a game. but they seem like from here on out. I mean, they're in trouble Friday night. I think we all know that. I believe if they play Wimberley, I don't know that Wimberley scores, and they're averaging 60 points a game or whatever it is. Graham is the only one that you're like, okay, because of that big win at Brock, and they knew they were going to win. They were hiring social media influencers to come to the game and paying them to be there because they knew they were about to destroy Brock. I mean, you got to know when you're paying people to come cover your game. So they have some swag there. They have some confidence. That's what it's going to take to beat Carthage. And, I don't know if that'll be enough, but, that would be the one team like, okay, I'd probably watch that. They play anybody else, not tuning in.
Well, and then they've got to beat Brock this week. You got to think Brock's had that game circled. I mean, that's a rematch game. I know it's a 38-0, but I mean,
they got knocked out multiple times. I mean, you have to have zero confidence going into this game. It's all about, in my opinion, you beat somebody 40-000.
But
I don't think anybody in there.
And I mean, it was like a JV team versus a varsity team. They bodied them.
I expect it to be a little closer, though. I mean, I think a little bit closer, but yeah, because L4 they cover those guys, both those teams, Terry and them with Brock and Graham, and I know they're going to be at that game, so it'll be some good highlight clips. But yeah, I think Graham's they're a good team. I was really surprised because Brock's one of those names you just Brock's going to be good. And when I saw that they got beat 38-0, that was impressive. I mean, I was like, wow, okay, I guess Graham's for real. But unfortunately, you're probably not going to have much competition.
I will say this, Morgan, and I don't know what it is about the East Texas region. I don't know what about the East Texas region. I would say in looking at my picks, the most parity I've seen all year across all classes has been in East Texas. Teams that, should be winning by 28 lose and do all kinds of – Dangerfield is kind of a great example of that. And even saw with Carthage last year. I think Carthage should have been a no-brainer state champion last year, and they lost. And, you see this craziness. And I even invoked Brett on my podcast this past week. We're talking about Kilgore and Chapel Hill because last year, Kilgore just absolutely destroyed Chapel Hill in the regular season. Get it in the playoffs, it's a completely different ball game. We may see that again. I'm sure we're going to talk about it this year. But you just, especially with the East Texas teams and the tradition, you bring Dangerfield into the situation. They're going to bring it all. That's the only thing I'm a little bit nervous about Longview because they have that same kind of mindset. We're here. We deserve to be here. Lock the doors.
Yeah. Hey, Longview. There's something different. Like I grew up there, I played there. It is putting that L on your head. You're playing for an entire community, and I'm going to go to that game Saturday. I was supposed to be at the Big 12 championship game. Decided I'm going to send someone else. I'm going to go to this Longview DeSoto game because if anybody can knock off DeSoto, it's a team like Longview. Like the Longview Lobos can do it, and it would be one of them things like you'd be like, God, I can't believe they won. But then you'd be like, well, I mean, it is Longview.
And then if you didn't go, you'd be kicking yourself, right? Because
that's what I have to prioritize Texarkana. I have a guy that runs Longview for me. He handled all that, but they're playing on a Saturday. Like I need to be there. Plus, man, this is a really big game. DeSoto's got a great thing going, and but Longview just didn't. Nobody expected Longview to be in this situation when they came out. Hey, they're going 6A by a few people. I didn't think they'd be here. So hats off to the coaching staff and the players. I mean, you have Boozy just broke Fred Talley's long-standing record, for most yards in a season, which, I was there the day Fred broke that against Katy in the state championship game and like 99, I think. So, hey, when you're talking Fred Talley, Verondrell McGee, Taylor Tatum in Longview, Texas, and you're at the top of that list, you can go.
I don't want to break off our format, but I will say Longview's beaten 3 fourth-place teams. I mean, that's great that you got here, but they beat 3 fourth-place teams to get here. So this is DeSoto. This is the defending state champion. This is not a fourth-place team. Second-place team.
Hey, listen,
fourth-place team.
I'm not gonna sit here and act like all of y'all or any of y'all are gonna pick Longview. Okay, I get it. I'm just saying if they did come away with an upset in this game, it wouldn't be as surprising. is if, let's say, Brock turned around and beat Graham.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. All right. The Carthage Pleasant Grove. Jaron, did you have any thoughts on that before we move on?
Yeah, I thought PG actually did a good job in containing KJ. I was excited to see Benny Smith, get some work in and do well. Y'all, as y'all know, my brother works at Carthage, so we were talking about it, and he thought that because he thought PG would contain, or at least try to contain KJ, but that maybe Jet would have to. They rely more on Jet going through the air, but the fact that Benny Smith really stepped up and kind of that bruiser back and made some good impactful plays. But I've said this all week since that game. I said I know the score says one thing, but that game was a lot closer than the score showed. I mean, hands down. So I thought it was the state championship game easily. But then I will echo what you guys have said. Starting at about week 4, so week 5, I thought Graham would be the only team that could even come close to sniffing Carthage, and we'll see if that happens.
All right. Speaking of a game that was closer than I thought, Malakoff, Matt, were you expecting this game to be this close? You talked about how weak Jefferson was and how they wouldn't stand a chance. They were up and down. They competed with Malakoff, and 31-21 win for Malakoff. It was a little closer than I'm sure you expected.
I mean, when you look at their state championship or their state ranked wins, I mean, they only beat Winsboro by a touchdown. So, I mean, they've been playing these kind of close games. I think the gap between Malakoff and everybody else is much smaller this year. I think you guys cited Jefferson as 8th in the state at some point. I don't keep up with 3A rankings, but if they're a top 10 state ranked team, I mean, Malakoff beating them by 10 is a solid 2-score win. So, I think, I like beauty points, but I also like competitive games. And I thought Winsboro and Liberty-Eylau was going to be competitive. And the ending score was, I don't think the game to get to that ending score was necessarily as competitive as that. But I expected Malakoff and Jefferson to be about that 1-2 score kind of a game because all 4 of those were state ranked, really good teams. And it kind of gets back to the point that Morgan was making earlier about these stacked regions. And you got some other regions where you've just got absolute, bad football being happening in the 3rd and 4th round. And this region has got some really good football region too. When you got DFW's own Malakoff, you got East Texas own Winsboro, and you got the other East Texas schools in Liberty-Eylau and Jefferson handling up. I mean, those are really good teams playing really early. So I thought Winsboro would get there. I thought we were going to have a Malakoff-Winsboro rematch, but as it is, I guess we'll get Liberty-Eylau, Malakoff.
Anybody else got any thoughts? What do you think about this? Morgan Jefferson's up there close to you guys. They played pretty tough against the Malakoff team that hasn't lost. Is it like 29 in a row? I think now they've won. It's been So played them tough.
That Jefferson coaching staff is basically made up of Texarkana guys. Coach Taylor, he's done a great job in his first year. Trey Carson's down there is a good friend of mine, running back coach. You knew that they were going to be really competitive. I mean, whoever went there, you knew they were going to be competitive. But then when that coaching staff, he started to fill a lot of these roles, you thought, man, that's for a 3A school, you just don't get those kind of coaching staffs they have right now. So, hats off to Malakoff. Great win. Jefferson's a great football team. And like you said, a double-digit win against a team like that, is noteworthy. I do think Malakoff's reign and winning streak comes to an end Friday night. But solid win over Jefferson. They were playing. It was running game versus running game. And let's get it Jefferson can pass the ball, but that's not what they do. So Malakoff's a big team, and the way you beat a big team is to get outside on the edges. That's exactly what Liberty-Eylau is good at. I think a lot of points are going to be scored in that game, and I know we'll get to it. But this Jefferson game, I don't think that the player personnel matched up for Jefferson to win that game.
I've been watching Jefferson quite a bit the last few years. Used to cover Tatum, so they were in the same district, and they always had athletes, but they just didn't have that kind of final push to kind of make them really competitive, especially in the postseason. Then they got Coach Taylor. I got to interact with him quite a bit in the spring doing some spring sports, and was just super impressed with him. And you could already tell it, even in the spring sports, you could kind of see a culture shift happening among those Jefferson players and those athletes. And I think just in year one, we've seen the impact that not just him as head coach, but like you said, Morgan, his coaching staff. And I think, they've got athletes, they've had athletes up in that area. I think we're going to see in the next, couple of years, next few years, that Jefferson become even more relevant, I think, in postseason play, getting 3, 4, 5 rounds in, and we'll talk about the LE in a little bit, I guess. But I didn't see it coming. I didn't see that coming, and I'll eat crow all day long on that Liberty-Eylau team.
Okay, what about this for you? You got to see Malakoff in person early in the year against a really good Winsboro team. What'd you think about Jefferson and being able to play within 10?
Well, this is one of the many crows I have to eat tonight. I didn't think this game would be very close, and Jefferson proved me wrong and went out there and played Malakoff really tight. But we talked about it earlier with Carthage. It's the same thing with Malakoff. That's that championship pedigree. They've been there before. They've been battle tested. They've been battle tested this season. Granted, it was early on in the year. They weren't tested very much in the meat of their schedule, but early on against that Madisonville team, they had to win that one, late in that ball game. So they faced adversity this year, and even against Winsboro, had to face some adversity there to get through that. Battled some adversity against Jefferson, and Jefferson's a really good football team. And I've said it the past couple of years with Winsboro. If Winsboro wasn't in the same region with Malakoff, you may have seen Winsboro at AT&T Stadium these past couple seasons. But Malakoff has been that monster that's in that region, and somebody's gonna have to be the best. You got to beat the best, and Liberty-Eylau is going to get that chance Friday, and it's going to be an interesting ball game. It's going to be a tight one.
Well,
Invoking Ric Flair theory, I love it.
Speaking of Liberty-Eylau, this was another, like we talked about, a game I picked a wrong, which was most of these games this week. And man, Liberty-Eylau was impressive, man. I had that game on. I was watching it. Another one of the you guys' streams, Morgan, and I couldn't believe the score. I had to adjust my glasses a minute. I was like, wait a second, does that say 56-21 at half? And then I was like, well, I kind of set that game aside, and then I turned around, and next thing I know, we got a 2-score game. I'm like, wait, what happened here? I was to me that shows Coach Finney and his staff did a great job to make some halftime adjustments. Unfortunately, when you get behind that far, it's just kind of you're behind the 8 ball and have to play perfect and hope Liberty-Eylau makes a lot of mistakes. And I didn't see the game. There may have been some mistakes. Morgan may be able to tell me, but I'm impressed that they stayed with it. As far as
they're one of my squads, and I ain't gonna give it up. But they got extremely lucky.
Okay.
They had some stuff, but I mean, the 8 first down touchdowns is what Tripp Basinger had. 6 rushing, 2 passing. Second half, he'll be fine for game time. Just had a little injury, and that really kind of made the difference. I mean, him off the football field, it's not the same. I mean, he's a 3,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher, 4,300 yards on the season. His number one weapon, Quan Prevost, just committed to University of Arkansas. I mean, 1,750 all-purpose yards, 1,500 receiving. They've both broken passing touchdown, receiving touchdowns in a game, passing touchdown in a game. I mean, everything that can be broken on the record books for our city and for their school has been broken by those two this year. You have Jay Sean on the other side, who we all know in 3A football, you might have one cornerback that can go against anybody, but man, how difficult is it to have 2? And, he is a legitimate threat out there on the other side. And, the running back's having a great year, and they're on their 3rd running back. So, man, this team's dangerous. Tripp, if 100% healthy, which we expect him to be, if he was 6'3", he'd be a 5-star, no doubt. So we live in a weird time, with the way recruiting's working and all that. He's a great, great quarterback. He's a record-setting quarterback for our area. And, this Liberty-Eylau team is unbelievably dangerous. You can't turn the ball over 3 or 4 times because they're not. I mean, the one lot, the Jefferson, of course, they lost to Carthage, and we expected that. But I was at that Jefferson game, 5 first half turnovers, 5. And they really still should have won that game. They came, they missed the field goal at the end for the win as time expired. But it's just they're a dangerous football team to have to play. And Malakoff's over there, like, they got big kids. They have strong kids, and all that matters if you're Jefferson and your game's, running counter. But Liberty-Eylau doesn't run counter. So they're going to have to play the entire extent of the football field, and they can't miss tackles on Prevo. It's just not going to work out for them.
Well, that makes sense now why the score was that way, and that you hate that at the injury, but they were able to hang on. That's good for them. Like I said, I picked this one wrong. I'm sorry. I had Winsboro in this game. Hadn't seen a lot of Liberty-Eylau. We did talk about them preseason though as one of the I guess beneficiaries of dropping down. Like we thought Liberty-Eylau was always going to have really good athletes, but them moving down to 3A Division I was a huge big deal for them, because now they're playing with teams that they're going to be equal as far as school size and probably bigger than, and so they've really taken advantage of it in a really tough district. I mean, that
Morgan,
was.
Did you guys see this coming? I mean, they were 3-7 last year in 4A Division II. I mean,
we knew they had a great coach coming in with Coach Willard. I had a year of experience watching Tripp play at Hooks. I was there the night he broke his leg, a devastating non-contact injury. One of the I've seen some pretty bad injuries, and that's up there at the top of them on look away kind of injuries. So we knew he was good. I saw him run a track meet, run a 400, and I kind of joked with him. I was like, "Man, you got a long ways to go to get in shape." And he like, "Oh man, I know." But you didn't know, because that particular group of kids from 7th grade up till now have not been, haven't been district champs. They haven't experienced what winning looks like on a large scale, at least. And you saw it early on, like, the first couple of games, you're like, man, it's kind of different. They're beating 4A teams. And then, you expected Carthage to happen. And then they get into like play. You're like, hey, they're really good. And, they beat themselves against Jefferson. And, Jefferson turned the ball over as well. But when they're firing on all cylinders, I mean, I don't know that this offense with the quarterback they have running it really can be stopped. But to answer your question, I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, since we had games since 19, I haven't seen what I'm seeing from Liberty-Eylau at all since 2019. So, they have the athletes. Tripp coming in at quarterback. Let's don't act like that didn't make a difference, because it does. Prevo actually being able to get the ball in open field shows what kind of playmaker he is. So, no, I don't know if anybody saw this coming.
Yeah.
I think we also knew there was going to be a change for the better, but I don't think we expected it on this scale. Their mantra this year is, make them believe. They wear shirts everywhere and all that. And they told me to tell y'all, they're going to make y'all believe.
Hey, I believe a lot more than I did.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Now they win this week, Morgan. I mean, this was the one. Like, if they win this week, then I'm not that I don't believe now, but that Malakoff team hasn't lost a game in almost 30 games.
Hey, so. It's hard to pick against Malakoff. I get it, but let me give you some reasons why it needs to be considered. I spoke a little bit about it earlier. I mean, you have a single player that it's not crazy to say, hey, after this game, he may have 5,000 all-purpose yards on the season. Their quarterback play is unbelievable, record-setting for our area. The difference, I think, is going to come down. There's nobody that has a passing game like Liberty-Eylau. I mean, there's just not, and they utilize every player that's on the field. So Malakoff's going to get scored on. Tripp Basinger's 100%. Malakoff's getting scored on. How do they respond to that? When's the last time somebody put 42 on them? When's the last time somebody put 60? Winsboro, what was the final score of that Winsboro Malakoff game? I remember it being close.
28-21, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I just cannot. If they hold Liberty-Eylau to 28 points, something crazy has happened. on Liberty-Eilau's part. Like, so some things went wrong, and probably not of Malakoff's doing. I know Malakoff's a good football team, but this Liberty-Eylau team can win this game, and honestly, like I believe they have to be favored in it, and I understand why you would go against that. But Malakoff just hasn't faced competition like this. I'm not saying it's easy. You know, a 30-game winning streak, like, hey, you got your respect. Like, you should be picked to win this game, but you're not playing a team that runs up the gut. You're not playing a team that is going after what you're good at. They're going the exact opposite of what your strong point is what they're good at. So how do they respond, when they get 40 points put up on them? We don't know because it hasn't happened, but I believe it will happen Friday night.
I mean, what I would have to ask you, because you've seen these teams a little bit more, is how they lose to Jefferson. I mean, we just saw Malakoff beat Jefferson, so
yeah, you can't really look at that game and say, okay, let's say the Winsboro thing, like, all right, well, how does that happen if Winsboro's that good? Because what I saw the other day, I don't think they were that good, at least in the first half. Anybody that gives up 56 first half points, in my book, you just can't be that good. They had 5 first half turnovers, 3 of them being in the red zone against Jefferson, and still scored 33 points. And they still should have won that game. I mean, they had a wide left kick as time expired to win it. So that game, they haven't had 5 turnovers. Other than that game, they had them all in the first half, 3 in the red zone. So if you're not at that game and you just look at a score, you think, okay, well, it is what it is. But I'm not saying Jefferson isn't a good football team, but if Jefferson and LE played today, I don't think Jefferson wins that football game.
Well, that's fair enough. That's a good. I mean, you don't always get the box score. I mean, that is true. I mean, you see the score.
That's the insight that you find the upsets in. That's or what people consider the upsets. Because if you see that and you look, you have the personal knowledge. Oh, this team had 3 turnovers. This team had 5 turnovers. Or whatever the case, kind of going on name value, that is where you kind of see that little bit of insight. So I'm listening. Because you can look at what Malakoff has done this year, and kind of the same way with Gunter. It's just a different, like they're a tier below where they've been. Like, last year they're beating everybody by 40, 50, 60, even the good teams. And now it's 7, 1, 10, so I feel like this is not as good of a Malakoff team, even though they got Mike Jones and, they got a couple of players. I think the depth of Malakoff, the size, especially on the offensive line, just isn't what they didn't replace the graduating seniors with equal level players, and therefore, you got the big names, but it's just a little bit off. It's just a little bit less with this year's Malakoff.
And they deserve respect. I mean, any Texas team with a winning streak like that, like, hey, you can go. Like, you're a good football team. I just, I think if you're in the Tyler area, Texarkana area, Longview, I think if you want to go see great football played from one of these small schools on Friday night, go to this football game. Like, this is the one that it's either going to be super low scoring or, man, the scoreboard is just going to run out of freaking power because it's going to be an unbelievable game. I'm going to be there for it either way.
Going, if I wasn't doing game, I would probably go to this game. Yeah. I mean, it's not that far down the road.
Like, this is the fun one to be at. Y'all know how it is, man. Like, I kind of get to choose where I go, but I don't, sometimes you got to go to this game or that game, and
I get it.
They're not always fun to be at. Okay. Like we know, I'm not always excited to go, to some games on Friday nights. This is one I'm excited for. I'm just ready for it to get here.
Although I am excited where I'm going Friday. So, I think that one's going to be a pretty good one.
Yeah, that is going to be a fun one.
Kyle,
we both watched that. Well, you watched the entire game. I left the end of the first quarter.
Woodville is,
all I can think is that running back, they must not have played into the fourth quarter of this season, and I'm wondering if Dangerfield can take that game into the fourth quarter. Does that kid run out of gas? Because he doesn't look like he's built for a 4-quarter football game.
He's built where I don't want to be in the way of him, Morgan.
Definitely in those first 2 quarters. I'm wondering what happens. Fourth quarter,
Well,
when his legs get heavy.
They do
Yeah,
have
I
the
saw-
other guys. They've got Williams and they've got Hunter
Yeah,
also.
I mean, I saw them week 1 of the playoffs, and I mean they leaned heavily on Barlow, but Zion Williams was just as effective, if not more effective. So, and especially they've added that third running back, 2 weeks ago. So maybe
the Hunter kid just started playing tailback the second week of the playoffs. I guess Barlow got injured, so they put him in. And he were you there when he hurdled the defender? Was that in the first part of the game? He hurdled over the defender.
I halfway was paying attention. I kind of caught the end of it.
I think
they're super athletic.
And they can throw the ball too. I mean, they got some guys that they can hit on the outside too. Their quarterback, that sophomore quarterback's already, getting some pretty serious D1 looks and stuff. So they're not just one dimensional. So I agree, Morgan. I think it's hard. That might be a hard 4-quarter game for him to Barlow to make. But I think they've got enough weapons that I think they're going to make a really good game of it.
Here's the deal with Dangerfield. They played a preseason schedule. I mean, when they put Pleasant Grove on the schedule, I think, he knew they were going to be good. But he scheduled some games I don't think that they could win, fully healthy or not. And the reasons you do that is to prepare for a playoff run. You play up in competition. When you start playing down in competition, whether it's good, you're prepared for it. And that's exactly what Dangerfield did this year. And of course, I'm sure they have a terrible time trying to find people that will play them just because of their name. But I remember after that Pleasant Grove game, I was like, man, what has happened to Dangerfield?
We said it on our show earlier in the year. We were like, man, what's Dangerfield got? What's going on? We thought maybe there was some, internal issues or issues with players. We saw them in the playoffs last year. I mean, I covered them a couple times, and I'm like, they still got some of those guys back. What happened in Dangerfield?
I mean, I get playing up in competition, but Gladewater, Tatum, Tatum's a good squad, but I mean, that's not necessarily up in competition, right?
There were some eye-opening losses early. One thing about them is like your kids have confidence. I mean, they have generation after generation of winners in that area, and the kids are used to winning. They're not used to definitely not used to losing. So district came around, and that DCAB loss looks a little odd. That if the entire, like kind of like the Jefferson Liberty-Eylau game, if the entire aspect of taking nothing away from DCAB, but if Dangerfield's 100% healthy, I don't know that they lose that game. But the way they're playing right now is not what we saw first 5 weeks of the year. It doesn't even resemble the same football team.
Kyle, I want to hear your thoughts on the Winsboro Liberty-Eylau game because I know you got some your apology tour to come on. I've said my apologies. I'm sorry, Liberty-Eylau.
Well, yeah, same thing. I apologize to the Texarkana area and to Liberty-Eylau fans. I meant no disrespect. I just believed in Coach Finney and the Winsboro Red Raiders, and Liberty-Eylau came out there and proved that they were up for the challenge and then some. I mean, it is rare. The only time that I've seen Winsboro get beat like that these past couple of years has been at the hands of Malakoff in the playoffs. Like outside of that, Winsboro doesn't get beat like that. And so for Liberty-Eylau to come out there, and what I thought, just looking at the score, from what the score was at halftime to what the end score was, in my mind, without knowing anything from what Morgan said, I thought that Liberty-Eylau just took their foot off the gas just because they were up, and that just kind of took their foot off the gas, and that's how Winsboro came back, kind of garbage time touchdowns, if you will, made the score look closer than it really was. But yeah, my hat's off to Liberty-Eylau. I was high on that Winsboro team. I was expecting the Winsboro-Malakoff rematch. We're not getting that, but I think what we're getting in place of that, seeing this Liberty-Eylau team that I admittedly haven't seen a lot of. I'm excited to see how they perform against Malakoff, and I think it's going to be a really, really good game Friday night.
A couple of games that the next two on our pick'ems here that were down, two more that I picked wrong here. Game 6 and 7 in the 2A Division II bracket. We had Bremond over Mount Enterprise, and then Grapeland over Overton. And Grapeland they had a rematch with Overton and got back on the winning way. Jaron, you were at the Overton and Grapeland game. the quarterback for Grapeland, pretty good player. He made a difference on this time around, huh?
Sean Walker is incredible, and not just on the offensive side of the ball, but also he plays safety on defense, and so they benefit from having him back on both sides of the ball. And he's a dynamic player. They have their running back, I think Malik Johnson is his name. He hurdled a guy going into the end zone. It was super impressive. It was one of the better plays I've seen all season. But I'll tell you what Grapeland has, and I'm really anxious or really curious to see this with this matchup this Friday. Friday is their offensive line is massive for 2A Division II. They are huge, and I know Bremond, they have a really big defensive front. So I think Friday evening in Madisonville, in the trenches, it's going to be nasty. I mean, I think there's going to be some pushing, shoving bloodbath going on between the line and the trenches between Bremond and Grapeland, because I think Coach Wood, Jordan Wood's doing a great job. He comes from he was at Dangerfield for several years as the assistant head coach and offensive coordinator during some of their runs. So he knows how to win. He knows how to win big games. And so I think Coach Wood and the Grapeland Sandies I think they're going to win. I think it's going to be a pretty tight game. My hat's off to Coach Lemance and the Overton Mustangs. Again, just really surprising people with another good 10-2 year. The offense was not clicking at all. And so it just fell short. But that Grapeland team was a pretty fun team to watch. And Sean Walker makes was talking to some of the Grapeland media members, and they said when Sean Walker's on the field, it's at least a 20-point difference. So
Kyle, you were high on Grapeland. Were you surprised by this game?
Not really. I picked Grapeland. I like this Grapeland Sandy football team. I saw them against Alto, and I was impressed with their defense and just impressed with how they played ball that night. And the type of game that they play, how they run the football and how they play defense, it travels, and it's going to travel deep into the playoffs, and it's proven that it will. And they beat this Bremond team earlier this year. They beat Bremond earlier in the season. I know it's hard to beat a team twice, but it also gives you some confidence knowing you've beat a team once already this season. Like you've already beat them, you can beat them again. So I see no reason this Grapeland team can't win Friday night and advance to the state semifinals. I mean, there's no reason in my mind they can't do it. And I love Coach Wood over there. I think he's doing a great job with the program. They were at 7-on-7 this summer for the state 7-on-7 tournament. Grapeland was. I think that gave them some confidence going into the season. And then, like you said, Jaron, when they got into the season, they got those big old hog mollies up front. They got them guys going, and now Grapeland's a dangerous football team, and it seems that they're playing their best football at the right time.
And I don't think they had Walker when they played Bremond the first time. I don't think. You might know if I'm wrong, but
I don't know.
If that's the case, then it could get ugly.
Yeah,
if he's for the 20-point difference, I mean, that's got to be a lot of confidence for that Grapeland team. And we'll talk about that game here shortly. But sad for the Mount Enterprise squad with Keegan Ash and that going down to Bremond. But Keegan Ash will be back. He's a junior, so lots of things to look forward to down at Mount Enterprise next season. Now, the game I was at, or the second one I was at, game 9 of our picks, I did pick this one correct. Morgan, sorry. I did have Woodville over DeKalb. It was one of the games I did get correct. I think I was like opposite. If I picked for a Texarkana team, then they lost. If I picked against them, they won, except for this one. I think I did have this one. We covered Woodville in round 1, and just from being able to see what they had, I mean, seeing them in person, though, was impressive. And I know you were there, and just their offense, it kind of started. DeKalb went backwards. First drive, they went backwards. I think they lost 18 yards. It ended with a sack there on 3rd down, and they had to punt. And Woodville immediately took the ball and just basically punched them in the mouth. Like they just went down and just scored. Barlow is impressive. Babin, the quarterback, he can run if he needs to. He's also got a good arm. It's going to set up a really good matchup with Dangerfield. But I mean, this Woodville team, they lost to Newton earlier in the year, but once you get clicking, it's all about when you can peak. And if you're peaking at the right time, and we've talked about it many times, if you can run the ball and control the clock and play defense, it bodes well for you this time of year. And I think Woodville did that, and they knocked DCAB off, and they'll have a good matchup against Dangerfield.
I really like this Woodville team. That was my first time seeing them, and that running back, the little Jerome Bettis, as I call him, Dustin Barlow, he's a stud, dude. Like especially for he's a big dude, period. But he's a big dude for a 3A Division II football team. Like that is a big load to bring down. And Morgan, I think you brought up the point earlier, like what's his legs look like in the fourth quarter? Well, I think we're going to find out. But if he has, and I'm by no means am I comparing him to Derrick Henry, but if he can get stronger as the game goes on, then by fourth quarter, trying to tackle that big old lug in the fourth quarter, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm good. Especially when it gets cold out I'm good. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. I was impressed with Woodville though. I mean, from the way they played defense, their physicality, the running backs that they had, not just Barlow, the other ones y'all mentioned, the physicality they played with, the speed they had when they got outside. This Woodville team's a problem. That matchup with Dangerfield is going to be a really good one.
Anybody else got any thoughts on this game?
The running back obviously was really good, but that line they have, I think, is the difference for that division. I mean, typically I'm always going to be where the team I'm covering is facing my camera, and from that angle, a lot of the stuff I'm seeing is these linemen pulling. The blocks at the line of scrimmage, they were winning every single one of them, like at every position. So Dangerfield's definitely got their work cut out for them. I mean, like that team, like you mentioned, for a 3A football team to play the way they're playing, that doesn't happen very often. So this isn't a give 'em game for either team, but this is probably I really like this Liberty-Eylau game. This Dangerfield game will be next on my list of must sees for Friday night.
I actually missed game 8 here. Just for the professor, as Honeygrove knocked off Wascom in our game 8. I did get that one incorrect. And the DFW school, Honeygrove, as Diggs called, is that your only small school in the DFW area? Because I feel like there's no small schools in DFW. Is that why you claim them?
Actually, you're talking about 2A Division II, and the one thing I was thinking of is that DFW has been so bad. We only have 2 districts. We have District 8 and District 9, and District 9 is the Celeste district, which kind of goes a little bit out east, and 8 is the district with Munster. And the way that Munster beat Albany, I think they are a clear favorite to win state at this point. I mean, I think they are 2 or 3 touchdowns ahead of everybody else in 2A. I think probably we're going to see the state championship game this week, and it's a rematch against Collinsville. They already beat Collinsville by 2 scores. So I think we're excited because we have not had a 2A Division II state champion in a long time. Munster made the state championship about 5 or 6 years ago, but that was 2A Division I. And now that they've dropped down to 2A Division II, this is our first chance in a while to have a legitimate state championship threat, because it's been Albany and Mart, and you just kind of look at them going back and forth. And now with Munster playing the way they are, watch out for them.
So what did you think about your Honeygrove win? You didn't answer that question, Matt.
I mean, that Region 3 is a really good region right now. And now they're the favorite to come out of that. I think they're about a touchdown favorite over Joaquin. That is, I mean, I think the state champion is probably going to come out of Region 4. Ganado is really, really good this year. But, they have a puncher's chance. And if they get in that state semifinal game and have a puncher's chance, I'll take it. I don't think I could have expected Honeygrove to come out of this region. But, you talked about, I think Morgan was talking about, you look at your schedule, and they're playing up. They played Winsboro. I mean, that's a team they shouldn't be playing with, and they played them competitively at times. So I think Honeygrove is ready to take the next step, and winning the region is a big next step for them, and I think they have a really good chance to do it. And I appreciate their coaching staff bringing that to Frisco for me.
Hey, well, and they've been getting prepared. They've been working for Coach Fletcher. He knows what he's doing. He's good at getting programs turned in the right direction. and they've been getting groomed. It's the first time they've been this far since 1969, so it's been a long time. And so I think they're due for it.
It may not matter for everybody, but these schools, Honeygrove, Bremond, Ganado, they all made it. Grapeland, they all went to state in 7-on-7. Like, I know that's not pads, it's not tackling, but it obviously translates to something because they're still playing here and we're after Thanksgiving. We're playing. They're playing in December, so it obviously translates to something. So for everybody that says 7-on-7 doesn't mean anything, it obviously means something.
Kilgore's another one, right?
Kilgore made it to, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, they're still playing for now. All right. The last game on our list, and Morgan, sorry to drag you in this one, is the PNG and Texas High game. I had you guys, man. I had Texas High. I picked them. That was our one game we picked that I think I went with you guys. That's probably my fault. I probably jinxed you. Went down here, had Texas High. Man, just came down to the end. I think I saw somewhere where Texas High was up in the fourth quarter late. PNG scored. There was a field goal attempt at the end that was missed. Am I accurate there with that?
Yeah, it was blocked.
Okay, it's blocked.
PNG's offensive line. Listen, that game went final. I'm on the road. And I looked down. I shouldn't be even saying I'm doing this, but I looked down to my email, updating my email, and I had I'm talking 5 minutes this game going final, I had like 10 emails from PNG people talking shit to me. And
Wow.
so I woke up the next day and I had about 40. So I was gonna be a smart aleck back, but I took my L like a man. I responded to every single one of them. Wished them best of luck. So you're about to go get destroyed by South Oak Cliff anyway. So enjoy your extra week of football.
I guess I know who you're going to pick in that game now. I guess you've kind of thrown your cards out there. I mean, here's the deal.
Listen, PNG can play with anybody. If you got a great offensive line and you're big on defensive line, hey, just by odds, you're going to be able to play with anybody. And that was the difference in that football game. I mean, I don't think they can match up skill position.
You know what that means, though, right? That's 40 people are watching you pick and watching your stuff, which means you're getting views. So it's a win-win, right?
Yeah. It went into that game last year as well. They just don't like me in general, which, I mean, I don't care. What's funny, and I don't ever bring it up to them. It's like, y'all school district called to do a game day down there. So for y'all to hate me this much, y'all can't hate me that much. Somebody had to have taken it to the school for us to come down there. And I said, no, it's a little bit too far for us to come. I don't care how great your fan base is. But yeah, basically the second I was like, hey, it's a no, man, they turned on me and I mean, just started trashing us. Like, oh, this dude's it's too small for us and this and that. I was like, man, y'all are wild. But, hey, listen, like I've said in all seriousness, they're a program you have to respect. I always, just because, man, like this is Texas high school football. We're supposed to be able to talk trash. Like, well, we just are, and I leave the S off of their Groves on purpose. They know it. And I don't care that they know it. And it's just, it's fun, and I really did think Texas High was going to win that football game. But, you let a team hang around for long enough that knows how to win. That's what happens. They win. I do not think they beat South Oak Cliff, though. But can they beat them? Of course. But, I just don't think they got it this year.
All right. Anybody else? Any thoughts on this one? Diggs, who'd you have in this game? Did you have Texas High or PG?
Yeah, I was very disrespectful to our friends in the Golden Triangle area. One of the things I did on my podcast was I kind of took the very first 8 teams and I kind of assigned regionals, so like, the little 8-team brackets. And I had 16 of these in 5A and in 6A. And I got 15 of the 16 correct, who I named the regional after, ended up winning the region. By the way, I did name it the Longview region, even though I picked them to lose against Lancaster after seeing how bad they played against Naaman Forest. But they still stuck with it and ended up winning their regional. But I called it the Texas High regional because I had a lot of high hopes. I thought Texas High would beat PNG. This version of Texas High, the way they played a non-district, the coach from Flower Mound, Marcus, that DFW pedigree. I thought they were primed, but PNG at that heart of a champion, they took care of business late. What can you say? I mean, it's hard. Ric Flair theory. It's hard to put down the king, and they kept the game in there. They kept it gritty, and they ended up winning with that offensive line. But South Oak Cliff is a different animal. South Oak Cliff went and beat Longview in Longview. They went to North Shore and played at North Shore. They're ready for this. They planned their non-district schedule around this game and traveling and getting ready for it, because the last 2 times they played PNG, it was up here at AT&T. So they prepared. Their coach was playing chess, and I think they're ready for it.
Yeah, one thing about PNG that can't go left unsaid is, man, the depth played a role in that game against Texas High. Texas High just could not match the depth that PNG had on the offensive line or defensive line. I just could not believe that game was that close. I mean, Texas High is legitimately, I've been saying it all year, one of the best 5A Division II teams, or one of the most loaded 5A Division II teams I've ever seen. And I gave PNG no shot at winning that game. Like, they were just out athleted at every athletic position, except for when it came down to line play. And hey, that matters. And come to find out, it matters way more than I gave it credit for. But when they had to start running twos in on the defensive line, because that offensive line was just leaning on them all game, I mean, it went from bad to worse. So, but shout out to PNG. Played a great game. Deserved to win. Best of luck to them against South Oak Cliff. They're going to need it.
And I say this, and I know a lot of people get their ears spinning. They're like, "What are you saying, Diggs?" And I'll use the Aledo example. Aledo does not match up as well with Richland as they did against Denton Ryan. And there's just a lot about matchups and styles and whatnot. I think if you had Richland and Aledo in the 4th round, that game's a lot closer than Aledo and Denton Ryan, just because of the way they match up. I would view the same thing with Texas High. I think Texas High would have been a much worse matchup for South Oak Cliff than PNG. I think the way that South Oak Cliff plays, the way they've been prepared, I think they're going to run away with it, because their offensive line is just as good. Their defensive line is going to be able to handle that. They've been, given the fact that they played the last 2 years, they've built their team to beat PNG, basically, because that's the only team that's been able to beat them at a 5A Division II level in the last couple of years. They have prepared for this, and I think they're going to take care of business. Texas High, on the other hand, that game I would have considered a pure coin flip.
Okay. All right. Well, we've gone through our picks now. Overall results, Scott Poole is still leading, man. He is 10 up on the field overall for the year with 108. You got Steve Evans and Wes Shue are in 2nd and 3rd with 98 and 96. This week hurt me a little bit. I dropped down. I think I'm 8th place now. I'm trying to see who's next on the. It looks like Jaron's down there. I see him at the bottom of the first page.
KO's got me by 2. KO's got me by 2.
No, Kyle's got it.
Yeah, I was about to say, what are you doing? Skipping over me?
I missed KO. Sorry, KO. You're actually up on Jaron by 3. You have 85.
More importantly, I'm only behind you by 7.
Okay,
I'm
7
hot on your heels. I'm nipping at them.
Man, I can't afford to get another 3 and 7 here. You had a chance to really gain on me this week. I guess we were on the wrong side of a couple together. So we'll see if we can make that a little better this week.
I don't know who y'all picked in this Texas A&M game over the weekend. Did y'all do any pick'ems on that?
There's no pick'ems. It's the horns. I mean, do I have something behind me? Probably don't. You can't see it, but my dad went to UT. There's no maroon in our house. It's all burnt orange here.
Okay.
So my heart picked A&M because my brother's an Aggie, but my head picked UT just because I knew A&M's just not there yet. Well, they've never been, but we'll see.
I wanted A&M to win for the chaos, just because I thought the chaos would be awesome. But
that's what I was hoping.
Knew Texas would win.
I'm a Texas fan, and I'm down there like, man, this is going to be nuts if they rush this field. And then the momentum, those turnovers were right in front of me. Yeah. I was like, man, the momentum has changed for real. And A&M just could not do anything.
You had a great video of that 4th and goal stop too, by the way. That was
that horrible play call. Yeah, that horrible play call on 4th and
Hey, listen, these A&M fans, I don't know what they have to do. Like, there was way too many people on the field, like way, way too many people. And I don't know how these people get field passes for games, but way too many. And these guys behind me, I'm sure it's on some of my videos, man. They were like, you would have thought they were next in line to be the head coach of the freaking A&M. I mean, it was nuts. I've never experienced a fan base just that eat up with it, like freaking these A&M fans are. I when a guy that used to intern for me works for Dude Perfect now, so I was kind of hanging out with those guys pregame, and these A&M fans, they're just not cool. I don't know like how else to say it, but like I just didn't.
It's a
I have a
cult.
credential
It's a
there. I
cult
typically
down there.
always send someone else, but like there, it's not Texas. Like it's a different vibe. It's a different thing. Like, but there's no doubt if they would have beat Texas, Tyler would do perfect. He's like, we beat them by a point. We beat them by 60. The goalposts are leaving the stadium one way or another. Like, all right, we'll see. But I had a perfect position for that Arch Manning touchdown. I mean, it was right in front of me. That was pretty cool. But a lot of celebrities there. I talked to the governor for a little bit.
Did you talk to the minister, Mr. Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah, we have one thing in common. Pizza King's our favorite restaurant in Longview, Texas. So, he was right in front of me. I was like, "Yeah, last time I saw you, was it Pizza King or whatever?" And he just made a comment back. He has no idea who I am, obviously. I talked to Johnny Manziel for a little bit. Kirk Herbstreit just said hi to him. If you were somebody in college football, like you were there, like exchange numbers with Holly Rowe, looking to hopefully do a little bit of shadowing with her in the future, kind of see what her job's like on the back end. And, there was a who's who of college football personalities there for sure. Wasn't that great of a game, but
Yeah,
stadium is loud. I mean, but they're not next level. Like, what would it take for Texas to rush a freaking football field? You know what I mean? Like, what would have to happen for Texas to rush a football field? What would happen for Alabama to rush a field? Like, man, A&M just wants to beat Texas so bad, and they.
Yeah, well, and this game should have been in Austin. Technically, if they were going every other, A&M made sure that was probably part of the deal. They got the first home game, I'm sure.
It was an electric environment. They put me in a parking garage like forever away from the stadium. So I didn't really care for it, but whatever.
Hey, that was cool to get to go though. That's cool. Like I said, I saw your pregame picture. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I just didn't want to pay $1,000 or however the average ticket.
I can't believe people were paying that.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking about that in the photo room. They were like, man, people, like, somebody said the average ticket was over 1,000, and the day of they were selling for like 1,600 to 1,900 or something. Like, man, like, gosh. And then, man, I don't know if you saw some of the stuff I put out today. I would find random UT fans sitting in the A&M student section and just take a picture of them and just a sea of all this stuff. Like, man, this guy's right here. Hey, no joke. But yeah, it was a great game. And, one thing I'm sure wasn't on the broadcast after the game, the Texas fans stayed and started chanting SEC and stuff like that.
You could hear it. You could hear some.
Okay, yeah. It was fun down there, and
I'm glad they celebrated with class too, and we didn't have another one of those incidences that we had all day long with the flag. And
they tried to.
Yeah,
they tried to. Yeah, like I tell you what was funny. I didn't realize it at the time, but they had police go guard the logo.
Yeah,
I saw that on the video after. And one thing I haven't seen, there was a fight that broke out like right in front of when Holly Rowe was interviewing the coach. Some players started fighting, and that I still haven't seen video of that. It's two linemen. And it was like, get out of the way if these two dudes want to go at
it. Well, my only disappointment was I thought it should have been like 35-0. The score didn't reflect the dominance that Texas had, and just that they were able to just run the football like that, and just they didn't want to. Ewers made enough mistakes. They said, all right, forget it. We're just going to run the ball, and they were able to just chunk play. Wisner was just had himself a ball game.
Yeah. I I'm kind of, Texas came away with the win. I'm happy with that, but I'm glad I got to at least experience, A&M thinking they had a chance, because it was wild in there for a little bit.
All right, let's pick some games now for this week, guys. Man, there's some really good matchups coming up. Game one here is the Thursday game, and Jaron's going to get to go to the Star in Frisco and make the call with our professor here. We got
I didn't know you could call games in the Star. I thought they did all that in house. Good for y'all.
No, we did get 2 games. Some game day stole one of them with us, but we're working out a deal to work together here. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But no, we got 2 games. That's one of them. It'll be Jaron and the professor in the booth. I think and then we have KO Senior going to be in the as our camera guy. Kyle's dad Ron's going to be making the trip up. So that's a cool venue. I got to call a game there couple of years ago. I think it was the LBJ Chapel Hill game 2 or 3 years ago there. Really, really great facility. Professor making his debut. Are you nervous, Professor? Making your debut on the headset?
I'm telling you, I'm a little bit nervous because, and I told you about this. My strength is being able to tell the stories of I mean, I can say, oh yeah, the linebacker, blitzed off the left side. I can say that kind of stuff, but I love, kind of talking about the context and history of that stuff. And I'll probably be a little bit weak about Joaquin and Honeygrove, and some of the history. I'll have to do a little bit of research. But I adopted Honeygrove on my Friday night show, The Dump, as my 2A Division I team. So I've kind of kept an eye on them and I focused on them. So I've already got good relationships with their coaches. So they're already feeding me information. So Coach Fletcher, Coach Wiggins, some of those coaches over there. So I'm excited to call it. I just hope that I do it justice, because I know Jaron is the voice of the people, and I got to let him cook.
It'll be a fun time, and we should have a guy named Josh with us too, another one of our commentators, and he's a hoot. So we'll have a good time, and it'll be a fun game. And we say that as far as calling it, we put in our credential requests. We got approved to do it. Now we're still waiting back for our credential requests, I guess. But
you'll be fine.
Yeah,
you'll be fine.
So, but excited about it.
I know people, Jaron.
Oh, good. Yeah, But do we want to go ahead and pick, Brett? Or?
Yeah, we're going to pick it right here. Let's you 2 go first, and y'all are going to be there and calling the game.
And I'm from Paris, Texas. All right, so that's in that area, and so I think I think Joaquin's really surprised a lot of people this year, and I think Coach Jones is doing a great job. But man, Honeygrove's just really, I think, starting to fire off, and they they love to run the ball, but they can throw the ball too well, and so and they got their quarterback's a playmaker. Man, he's a playmaker. And so I think I'm going to go with Honeygrove.
I think we're going to see a lot of points scored in this game. Obviously, Joaquin at their best can put up 40-50. Honeygrove can put up 40-50. And I think we're going to have that kind of a shootout for Joaquin to even be considered to be competitive. But I think Honeygrove, they're hungry. They've wanted it. They've been right there on the precipice. I think they're going to take it in. I didn't even know we're allowed to pick the game, because I'm told that sometimes you're not supposed to pick the games. But I'm not going into this game with any sort of illusion of objectivity. I'm going to be full on Honeygrove on this game. They are the Dump's adopted team, and I want to see them win.
At least you go in there admitting your biases. I mean, that's a stand-up guy right there. What more can you ask for? Listen, I hear you, and I think Honeygrove probably is the better team, but there's something special about this Joaquin team this season. I don't know what it is. I thought that they would struggle with Shelbyville having DJ Barnes back, and they did not. They made it look easier this time than they did the first time when they played them without DJ. So I like this Joaquin team. I like the magic that they got going on right now. So I'm picking the Joaquin Rams as the traveling 4 seed to continue on through the playoffs.
All right.
I like Kyle's argument better than y'all, so I'm gonna go with Joaquin. I don't know anything about either one of them.
See,
Yes.
Morgan, we're making you branch out here in your East Texas knowledge here. We're gonna
Listen. I went 5-5 last week though, so I don't know if you want to be listening to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is tough. Y'all split. It's a split here. I've covered Joaquin the last 3 weeks, and I've seen what Coach Jones and that crew has done. They've got so many weapons down their roster. I mean, it's not just one guy for them. They've got 4 or 5 guys that can run. They do run the ball probably 90% of the time. They'll throw it every once in a while. But the problem with them, and it hasn't been a problem so far because they've been able to continue to score and stay ahead. If they get behind the sticks, their percentage of chances kind of winning the game goes down. So can they put together a perfect performance? They did it against Shelbyville. I've heard the quarterback from Honey Grove is even better than DJ Barnes. I've heard he's a pretty good guy. The difference is he likes to pound and run over you. He's a more of a running style quarterback that wants to initiate contact. And it's tough. I don't want to pick against Joaquin, but the pick'em champ, I have to go with who I think is going to win the game.
Hold on, Brett. Hold on. I have something that may sway you. Okay.
Oh, you're trying to sway me? You're trying to sway me away from picking against you?
Listen.
Okay.
You said NETSN's covered Joaquin the last 3 weeks, right?
Yes, they have. The NETSN bump, it does.
What's Joaquin's record in those last 3 games?
They are 3-0. The only difference is, no offense to Jaron, but I covered them the last 3 weeks.
Oh,
now it's Jaron's.
You're saying if they lose, it's Jaron's fault.
Jaron's fault. They can't blame it on me.
That's fair.
I'm the boss. I can do that, right? I can blame Jaron. I'm not going.
Absolutely.
I'm letting him go call it the Star.
Yeah.
So
if they lose, it's his fault. I'm
gonna go with Honey Grove, man. I try not to pick with my heart too often. There's one pick in this pick'em that I'll have to pick with my heart. It's just I can't not pick my team.
So
in this one, I'm gonna go with Honey Grove.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention how crazy deep East Texas football is. That at that game this past Saturday, Shelbyville folks roasted a goat. All right.
There was tailgating. It was one of the biggest tailgates. Yeah.
As a ram. Yeah. To defeat that. That's crazy. That's weird.
Man.
Then they got roasted.
Yeah. Next game. Another game that we will have. Keith will be going down to Madisonville to call the Grapeland-Bremond regional final down there in the 2A Division II. We covered both these teams last week. Man, these two teams have already played this year. I know it's tough to beat a team twice, but Grapeland's rolling right now. They got their quarterback back. They just beat an Overton team that we've seen that beat Mart a few weeks ago. And Grapeland's rolling. I'm taking Grapeland in this one. I think they're going to take this region and move on to the semifinals. And I know Kyle's with me there because
you finally jumped on the bandwagon, Brett. You finally welcome over to the Sandy Express.
Okay, I'm on with you, Kyle.
All right. Well, you already know who I'm picking, so we can go on. I'm taking the Grapeland Sandies.
Yeah, after seeing Sean Walker and that Sandies team and just the beef they have up front, I'm going Sandies.
Professor, any thoughts?
I was coming into this going to pick Bremond. That's just what I kind of had calibrated. My computer and all that stuff. My analysis was like Bremond. In fact, I already taped the podcast where I picked Bremond to win. But y'all are making really good arguments here about that. And and Morgan made an argument which has already changed my mind on something I'm sure we'll be picking in a little bit. But I've already said Bremond on a podcast, so I'll stick with it.
So you should listen to us first before you pick those East Texas games.
That's weak. That's weak, Diggs. I thought you were stronger.
I haven't heard of either one of these teams. Well, where are these teams located at?
Grapeland's down south, by the Nacogdoches area.
They're an East Texas team. They're on the fringe of East Texas there in our area.
I don't know where Bremond is.
Well, if we don't know where that's at, let's go Grapeland then, just because they're on the fringe.
Yeah, I like it. I like the way you think.
I like it.
I like the way you think. Game 4. My personal favorite on the now it may not be my favorite next week. Hopefully it will be as Kilgore and Chapel Hill.
Out. You skipped one.
Oh, I did skip it because I think we're all going to pick the same team. Game 3. Well, I mean maybe you won't. Game 3 is Van versus Carthage. All in favor of Carthage, say aye.
It hurts me to do it, but yes.
Now
okay.
listen. There's a path. There's a strategy. Okay. There's a strategy for the Van Vandals to come out with a win.
Is your strategy that all the Carthage players get stranded on a bus and they're
deflate tires or what?
Listen. It will take an absolute perfect. So quick story time. A couple of years ago, Van and Carthage were in the same district, and Van was undefeated. Carthage was undefeated. I was working for the radio station. We made it our game that week. I said, listen, I was full on believing that Van could beat Carthage. Like I had it in my heart of hearts that Van could beat Carthage. I think this is one of the years they won state.
I have a question for those that don't know. Where did you go to high school?
Lindo. Okay. Listen, so I had it in my heart that they could win. And so we went into that game, and first quarter it was like 7-0 Carthage. I was like, okay. Halftime, it's 14-7. I said, okay, we got ourselves a ball game. It ended up being 28-7. My point being is I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think. Do I think Van's going to win? Absolutely not. I'm not picking against Carthage. But I just wanted to take this little time to say that I love Coach Moffitt, and I hope Van performs well, and I hope it's closer than a lot of the experts think.
Close as in like
what do you? Yeah, that's my question. Yeah. What is close?
I'm talking like 24 points, 21 points, 3 scores.
No way.
So basically the same margin as
I mean, unless I get trash duty and score some late, no.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. I didn't say it was going to happen. That's what I'm hoping for. That would be a victory in my book. If that happens,
okay, yeah, I got you. All right, yeah. Moral victories round 4. I like it.
I'm grasping at straws here. I'm trying to find something.
Oh man, Morgan, if you didn't get my drift, Van and
that's exactly what UIL wanted. You know, they wanted moral victories for round 4 games.
You know, Van.
Absolutely.
See, Van and Lindell don't like each other, so that's why I was trying to say because you know he's
you're never going to catch me rooting for like Pine Tree or something in anything, you know, just out of principle.
Well, I get it, but as we've said before, I didn't get to play Van when I was in high school. Like I understand the rivalry. I grew up in the rivalry, and I've seen it after I graduated. But when I was playing, I didn't get to play Van, so I don't have that.
They were scared of Kyle. They didn't want to.
They were scared. They took us off the schedule. They didn't want to play us. They said that KO guys in school, we're not playing the Lindell Eagles this year.
And if you haven't seen those KO highlights, man, impressive stuff there, man.
Nah.
I didn't know that till recently that he had these super highlights. He was like the little Wes Welker of Lindale, man. I'm telling you.
No. Anyway, what we got next? Big game over in Forney.
Yeah, this is my first before we get to this game. Okay, so if I had unlimited resources of millions of dollars, I'm building the NETSN Dome and I'm hosting playoff games. For some reason, we got to drive all the way to Forney to see Kilgore and Chapel Hill play when they're 15 minutes apart. It makes absolutely no sense. Like I need this to happen.
You know whose fault it is, Brett? It's Chapel Hill's fault. And let me tell you
I'm
why.
not going to say it's not. I don't like it.
Let me tell you why it's Chapel Hill's fault. Because a couple of years ago, Chapel Hill and Kilgore played at Rose Stadium and Chapel Hill won. Last year, Chapel Hill and Kilgore played at Lobo Stadium. Chapel Hill won. Kilgore can't go back to either of those places because of superstition. And then if it was up to Coach Reardon, we'd be playing in New Caney somewhere.
Probably be playing El Paso.
I'll take Forney. I'll take Forney. It's not ideal, but it's better than the alternative.
I still like the NETSN Dome idea. I think it's you know we could host classics during the year, playoff games. They could make tons of money if I just had that much money to to build one of those things. Maybe put in a really good location.
It is unfortunate that, those fan bases have to go to Forney to watch a great football game when they're 15 minutes apart. Coach Fuller's a friend of mine. I don't really know what happened on that. There probably is some superstition involved, I would say. I guess Marshall's stadium's under construction, so that takes it out. But, a lot of these games that, for instance, this Longview DeSoto game being played in Waco, I don't personally care for it, but it's not my decision. I think it's a lot of strain on fan bases. But this particular one, it does kind of hurt that this, money's leaving East Texas. And, the average football fan can't just go watch this game or is not going to go watch this game. Like that game it should have been a flip for Rose or Longview. That would have been fair for everybody, and I know these coaches have a lot of power on where this stuff's played and why, and maybe they're trying to get their teams used to traveling because, they're going to be playing in bigger venues and having to travel further. But I don't even like that argument.
Chapel Hill doesn't have that problem. We're used to traveling everywhere.
Playing Mount
Pleasant.
There's so many better options than
and you've played 40 playoff games the past 4 years. Like Chapel Hill has no issue traveling. Kilgore travels all the time too. Like I don't know what it is. I know we've talked to Brandon before about, it's these places not wanting to host and people charging so much for hosting, whatever it is. Like, figure it out, dude. Like, we shouldn't be having a Kilgore and Chapel Hill game being played in the DFW area. No disrespect, Diggs, but we shouldn't be having to go to Forney for an East Texas football game. Like, that makes when we have perfectly good play at Lindale. You could play it at Lindale. It's a big enough stadium to host this type of game. Like, why are we having to go all these other places? And maybe it's a staffing issue where these stadiums don't want to host because it takes a lot of people to run these games. But
I think probably Longview, that's exactly what it is. I mean, they're about to have to travel to Waco. They just probably don't want to host it. Tyler, they don't have any good reason not to. But I hate this. I hate that's being played in Forney.
Yeah,
but
you gotta go out the
Kilgore Bulldogs.
You gotta go out of the region to play the regional final. So
it's weird.
What did you say, Diggs?
So go look at Honey Grove and Joaquin on the map and let me know why that's in Frisco while y'all are having this outrage.
I can tell you why that one's a little bit because I talked to Coach Jones and they didn't want to play in the weather. He thought they played a bad game against Garrison earlier in the year and it was a lot of rain involved. Their offense is a very precision-based offense. And if you're not precision with it, you can fumble and easily get out of the game really fast. And so he was doing whatever he could and he was willing to do whatever as long as there was no weather involved. That's why the game in Frisco.
That makes sense. So why are Kilgore and Chapel Hill playing in Forney outdoor stadium?
I don't know the answer to that one. I don't know. Like they say the stadiums are booked, but these two teams knew they were going to play each other most likely 2 or 3 weeks ago. They could have pre-booked something already and had it on the books, but that's just me. I'm going to make this simple.
And even within that, the most amusing thing is that Forney ISD has a brand new stadium, North Forney, and they're playing in the old stadium.
Yeah.
It's still the new stadium.
I don't know. Well, it may have been too expensive. Maybe. I don't know. I'm going to make this simple. There's a couple of reasons why I think Chapel Hill is going to win this game. It's going to be Demetrius Brisbane is now back on the fold, and Ricky Stewart is on the field for Chapel Hill. Neither one of these guys played against Kilgore last time. That's why the margin was lopsided. And I believe Kilgore's got a couple of guys that are out, non-injury related, for playoff action. So they're down a couple. Chapel Hill's up a couple. Coach Reardon, his playoff success, it speaks for itself. They kind of gotten Kilgore's number over the last few years. And I think it happens again. I think the Bulldogs win. And I think they move on to the semifinals for the 4th year in a row to go that far.
You are absolutely correct. The Bulldogs will win, Brett. 1,000%. You cannot be wrong with that one. But as to which Bulldogs, I think here's a little fun stat. I was doing some research today. A little fun stat for you. It's 4th year in a row that these two teams are playing in the playoffs. And it's the 3rd year in a row that they're playing in the regional final. In 2021, Kilgore won in the regular season. Chapel Hill won in the playoffs. 2022, Chapel Hill won in the regular season and won in the playoffs. 2023, Kilgore won in the regular season. Chapel Hill won in the postseason. This year, Kilgore won in the regular season. Who knows what's going to happen in the postseason? At some point, you got to be tired of getting beat up on. You know what I mean? Like there comes a time where little brother has finally just had enough and just hauls off and finally beats big brother. Is this that year? I don't know. It's hard to pick against. It's hard to pick against Chapel Hill with knowing that Demetrius Brisbane's back and the fact that he's not having to play quarterback. Like he can play quarterback, but he doesn't have to. Like Malik G is competent enough now to run the offense, and the offense is running a lot better now with him at the quarterback than it was 7-8 weeks ago when he first came in. So I think the offense is fine having Ricky back there where all Malik has to do is turn around and hand it off to a D1 running back that'll be playing for the Texas Longhorns next year. Like, that's a blessing to have in the backfield. So, but now you can put Brisbane in the backfield with Malik G and Ricky Stewart. Then what? Then what are you going to do? You can have Brisbane out in the slot, have him out at receiver. You can also put Brisbane on defense, have him play a little more on defense now where you can use him where he has more energy on defense. Like, I think it actually strangely makes Chapel Hill better not having Brisbane at quarterback. Like, I think because even though Brisbane touched the ball every time when he's at quarterback, every play he's touching the ball, you can put him in different scenarios to get him in space immediately to use his athleticism. So this Chapel Hill team is getting healthy and getting players back at the most dangerous time of the playoffs. Kilgore is absolutely rolling right now. They are a hoss at the moment. Like, just destroyed Navasota. Like, didn't even just wipe the floor with Navasota, who's not a bad team. Like, I'm not saying they're great. They're not world beaters, but they're not a bad football team. So, I don't know, man. This was going to be a good win. I feel like at some point you have to get that monkey off your back if you're Kilgore. I just don't think this is that year. I'm taking the Chapel Hill Bulldogs because Brisbane and Stewart this is their fourth year doing this. I think they are laser focused on getting back to AT&T, and I don't think anything's standing in their way. I hate it for Kilgore. I hate it. I love Coach Fuller. I think Kilgore's got a great program, but it's just sometimes you're on the wrong side of destiny.
Hey Kyle, this will be their 20th playoff game for Stewart and Brisbane. 20th playoff game.
That's 2 full seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's the Cody Rhodes theory. With talking all these theories, it's like Corey's on the show, but it's the Cody Rhodes theory. Like, I think Chapel Hill finishes their story this year. Like, I think this is the year they finally get over that hump and finish the story. And it's unfortunate that Kilgore has got to be in this position. They're basically like Peyton Manning and the Colts to Tom Brady and the Patriots. Like, there's that team that's in your way that it's just the wrong time. Like, it's just the wrong time to be in that scenario. And unfortunately, I feel like it's that way for Kilgore. So I'm going to take Chapel Hill Friday.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Kilgore by a field goal. Kilgore by a field goal.
I'll bet against Coach Fuller. We'll take Kilgore.
Thinking Kilgore as well. I haven't been impressed with Tyler Chapel Hill, even in this playoff run, to make me think that they've gotten that much better. So
that's how you know he's a DFW guy.
Yeah,
Brett, he said Tyler Chapel Hill.
Yeah, he has no idea. He has no idea. Like, all he can think about is last year. He's going to talking about that 5A Anna team that beat us. You know, that they already had 5A numbers. I was glad to see they got eliminated last week, by the way. No. And then the Bernie team that knocked them out the year before, I think they're 5A now as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're still in it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been tough. I think it's
and LBJ bumped up to 5A and then came back down to 4A.
Yeah, and then they lost, so that was a fortunate break. I think that I think this is a Morgan talked about earlier. This could be another state championship type game. I know Stephenville's over there. I think they'll have something to say about it. But I think whoever wins this game is very well on their way to being the favorite to win state. This region's just the district at Chapel Hill, and they went through. You got Henderson, didn't even make the playoffs. That probably could have won a couple of playoff games as well. So I know he's going to say. I know what Dig's going to say. There's this team called Salina with a lot of tradition up there as well. But the key for Chapel Hill is they're not only going to have to play one of those two. So Stephenville and Salina will meet first, and they'll knock each other out. So only have to beat one of those teams. So I think it could be a good game, but I like the Chapel Hill Bulldogs, and if Kilgore wins, I think they'll be a team that can go all the way to the state game and have a chance to win state as well. All right. The next one is a game that I will be at. And Morgan, you wanna talk about what we've got going on with this game between Game Day and NETSN?
Yeah, unique partnership where NETSN is going to stream the game for us. Kind of, I guess, as Game Day. I think it made a lot of sense for you to take care of this game already being in Tyler. Ben and Buddy from our Sideline Morning Show, they're going to be calling the game. They want to do that. They kind of came to me last week, said, hey, we really want to do this one. And, we made it happen. And thank goodness you're going to take care of it for us, because it was going to be a lot to send people down there to test and do all that. So quite a bit of waste from. I didn't realize until I drove through it the other day how far Palestine actually was from where we're at.
Yeah,
I thought it was just like right south of Tyler, which I guess it kind of is, but driving from where we're at is a long ways down there.
Yeah, it's big. It's a nice little trek. So I'm excited to get to kind of do a mesh team. It's going to be a lot of fun, and get to meet those guys. Going to watch you guys show over the last year or so, and so I know they are, and I'm excited to get to work with them, and it'll be cool because I'll actually be able to kind of help out, because I've seen Woodville and I've seen what those guys can do, and of course your guys will know Dangerfield, so it should be a pretty fun time. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
How you say that? I don't know if either one of them have actually seen them play in person. Well, I guess Ben saw them play Pleasant Grove, but I don't think either one of them have called a football game. I mean, this could go south in a hurry. So keep your headset handy.
I have 3 headsets, Morgan. I always carry 3.
Right, well, hey, be sure you keep one on.
I'll definitely
tell him what Buddy may say.
So I need to control his mic. Then I've got a nice little mute button.
Yeah, I've made it very clear to him. Hey guys, like, we can set this up and do it, but y'all have to be fair. You can't go on there and just know everything about one team and nothing about the other, and can't sit there for 3 plays and not say anything because you didn't like the outcome of this or that. Like, so.
Well,
I mean, how they do.
I can easily referee, so it's not a problem. I have this button if I need to use it, on the broadcast in case we.
If you need to use that button, I need you to just take over.
It should be a lot of fun. I'm excited. I think hopefully it's the first of many times we get to collaborate. I really, like I said, we kind of keep an eye on you guys up there and all the stuff that you guys do. Y'all have a great product, and we try to do the best we can for around this area. And so I think my struggle is, a lot of times, some of the crews get bad rep, but NFHS, just having to stream on there is just, as is hit or miss. I think some of Jared and I've been fighting with people, not really fighting, but going back and forth on different forums about, the game didn't work and it didn't this. And I think a lot of it's like the apps aren't updated and don't work correctly, and some other things. And we can't control.
We had 2 games, and like I really, I don't know the back end technical stuff. Like, at the end of the day, I'm really just a business owner, and like I have my guys that know how to do it, and like that's their job. But we have no good reason why our games went down. I mean, I can't imagine the internet's bad at a college football stadium. Maybe in Mount Vernon or wherever they were, but college football stadium, I find that hard to believe. So, and we've never had it happen before, so. I don't know. We're forced into this partnership with them, and
yeah,
To be fair, I used to cover sports in the Natchitoches area, and it wouldn't surprise me completely if internet wasn't great up there. So I will say that would not surprise me. But
well, I just figured it was that in Mount Vernon, but I don't know enough about it.
That's the one thing, and I tell my guys this all the time. You go to these stadiums, to these games, and you can prepare all you want, and you think it's working, but you better have a plan B, C, D, and E. I mean, that's unfortunately that's the way it is, especially in East Texas. I mean, it's not like the Metroplex over there with Diggs, where they've got like fiber directly into the stadiums and all this. It's a lot, and the cell services, obviously,
all that fiber for bad football.
Wow.
I'm just kidding, Dix.
All right, so who are we picking?
So anyway, we got the Woodville Dangerfield game. Man, I like Dangerfield, but man, just seeing this Woodville team in person last week, what they did to DCAP. I know that Dangerfield, I'm sure, is playing better at this point. They beat a really good Newton team, but just seeing what they did, I can't unsee what I saw last week. I mean, it was just impressive. Just they dismantled the DCAP team that won district. I mean, they beat Dangerfield in one district, no matter what the circumstances were. They were district champ, and they just destroyed them. And looking at the playoffs, they're averaging about 42, 43 points a game, I think, and allowing like 12 or 13. So they're doing it on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to go with Woodville, and we'll see. Hopefully, if it goes the way the game did last week, Morgan, I might be doing all the talking. Those guys may just get out and leave the booth.
Yeah. Hey, listen. It was cold the other night. It would not have been a fun night to play smash mouth football. All right. I can't say I wanted anything bad to happen to DCAB, but when they got down big, hey, I heard the dinner bell and I left. It was too cold to be out there to even watch that. Dangerfield has their hands full. That's a big football team. They play smash mouth football and they're good at it. I live in this area. There's an old saying here. You can walk into any restaurant and any 70-year-old man, if you bring up high school football, they're going to tell you about the 81 Dangerfield football team. It's going to come up. They're going to turn 83, whatever it is. They're going to bring it up and talk about it. And I don't want to have to explain not picking them to anybody. So I'm going Dangerfield.
That's a safe pick, Morgan. I don't blame you. That would be like me going and picking against Chapel Hill and then have to go to work the next day. And, I worked there and I went to school there, so I can't do that either. So I understand.
Yeah, it's been such a big turnaround, and I don't get to watch them. Their games aren't streamed or anything. Like I don't really get to watch them week in, week out, or anything. So I don't know what the big change has been personally. But I just know Dangerfield kids win, and I don't know anything about this Woodville team other than what I saw, and they were impressive. But I'm going Dangerfield.
Well,
we got to go with Dangerfield. Teams right now with that kind of program pedigree that are winning the way they are, beating New Diana, taking Dangerfield.
We talk about 7-on-7 teams at state. Dangerfield was another one that was down there at state for 7-on-7. This one's tough for me, man. I think it's a battle of two different teams. Like Woodville is this big smash mouth, gonna punch you in the face type football team, and Dangerfield to me is more of a flashy speed type team. And so it'll be interesting to see if Woodville can slow down Dangerfield. And then it's on the other side, it's going to be interesting to see if Dangerfield's got the size in the trenches to be able to withstand little Jerome Bettis and the rest of the Woodville Eagles. So, man, I don't know. This is I don't know what the turnaround, because I can't explain the turnaround in Dangerfield, and I just saw Woodville last week with my own two eyes. I'm going to take the Woodville Eagles.
So you're saying it's like a Dan Campbell team versus a Kyle Shanahan team is what that's what
yes.
you're saying, right?
Yes.
So I got to see Dangerfield, quite a bit the last few years covering Tatum. Got to see Woodville a few weeks ago. Woodville's really good, but kind of the same logic that you said, KO, that you can't explain Dangerfield's turnaround rather. Dangerfield's a pedigree team. Woodville hasn't been this far in over 80 years, right? Which is special. I'm happy for him, but Dangerfield has, right? And something's clicking, something's happening. Coach Nelson is a very good coach, and so is Coach Robinson. I'm not taking anything from him, but by any means. But yeah, I think I'm going to lean on pedigree, lean on the hot hand, and go with Dangerfield.
All right. Game 6, Liberty-Eylau Malakoff. I wouldn't say this one's easy for me, but here's the deal. I'm going with the old Ric Flair saying, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And the man right now is Malakoff. And so I'm going with Malakoff. Wouldn't be surprised after Histon and Morgan did a great sell. Like if you're a salesman, Morgan, you sold me on Liberty-Eylau. I think this is going to be a closer game than what I thought before we came on tonight. I think Liberty-Eylau can win this game. I really do. I just think that Malakoff, they're on a mission. They haven't lost, and until they lose, they're kind of like Carthage to me. Until they lose, I can't pick against them. So I'm going to go with Malakoff to get the win, and good luck to the Leopards.
Well, they've won 29 games in a row. I'm not. It's the longest active win streak in the state, and this is no disrespect to Liberty-Eylau. It's not like it's not a Winsboro over Liberty-Eylau pick, but I am going to take the defending state champs in the 29 game win streak. Give me the Malakoff Tigers.
Hey,
now,
who's their quarterback, Kyle?
It's Mike Jones.
Who?
Is their quarterback. Mike Jones
is
their quarterback.
Hey, what's that phone number to get in touch with Mr. Jones?
If you want to call him, you can dial 281-330-8004 to call Mike Jones. Okay. But no, I think it's going to be like if you would have asked me this 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think I would have thought this game would be a blowout. I don't think that anymore. I think it's going to be a very competitive football game, but you said it, Brett. Malakoff's kind of in that Carthage range. Like until somebody beats them, I can't pick against them. So I'm going to take Malakoff.
I like Coach Willard a lot. I think he's a very good coach. Comes from a kind of a very successful coaching tree, if you would. And then with what Morgan's kind of said, with just some of the player makeups and just some of the kind of just the records and just things like that. The all-purpose yards that you were mentioning, Morgan, that's crazy. That's insane. That's crazy. And so I'm probably in the minority, but I'm going to throw the Hail Mary and I'm going to pick the Leopards on it.
Well, it's not a Hail Mary. It's a little crossing route, 4 yards, easy pitch and catch. Make them believe's been this team's mantra for this season. And, I hate Brett and Kyle. One thing about this, I don't hate y'all personally, but let me tell y'all what's going to happen. These Liberty-Eylau fans, if you're not for them, you're against them. Okay. And don't try to jump on the bandwagon next week. All right. It's too late. Train's left the station.
I think this could be the matchup.
No, you picked it. Don't worry about it now. You can't go back.
I'm on record for picking them. I'm on record.
Let me ask you this, Morgan. Let me ask you. I can accept the fact that I'm off the bandwagon this year. I get it. But let's say next season, fresh season, am I allowed to start being on the bandwagon next year?
That's not up for me to decide. No, these Leopard fans, they're very, very. They don't let you in the inner circle very easily. It took me years to be accepted over there. I don't know if I still am. But I know you two guys are going to be a problem. You try to walk on the Liberty-Eylau, they're going to recognize you. Be like, who are these guys? You might get jumped. I'm just letting you know.
No.
They don't think it and don't say it over there. Okay. But man, Trip Basinger, if he has another game, and there's no reason to think he wouldn't, like he has had all this season. I mean, Malakoff, hey, to get to let's say 30-0. Monumental achievement. A team that comes to mind would be Allen a few years ago, or say a few years ago. It's been a long time ago at this point. It does take a lot to get to 29-0 in the state of Texas. This team, this Liberty-Eylau team, is good at what they're not used to seeing. It's going to make a difference. There are very few 3A football teams that have a college football plan on a Friday night. They're not just going out playing, hey, my players are better than your players. They're beating you with X's and O's. They're looking at what you do well and not doing anything close to that. And they have multiple ways to beat you. And I know Malakoff's going to get theirs too. They're big up front and they play physical football. They'll probably beat Liberty-Eylau in that aspect. But are they going to be able to beat them downfield all game? I'm going with the Leopards. Y'all heard it here first. Jared, I thought everybody was going to pick Malakoff, so I was just going to let everybody go so I could tell y'all how wrong you are. Trip Basinger, Daquan Prevost, Coach Willard, rest of Liberty-Eylau Leopards. It's their time. And for them, it's kind of something a little bit poetic about them being the last Texarkana team standing after all they've been through the last few years. There'll be a lot of eyes on this football game. Liberty-Eylau is a proud fan base, and the winner of this game, I think, wins the state championship. There's a lot on the line.
Well, like I said earlier, just when we were talking about this earlier, I think Morgan convinced me, really breaking down some of the elements of. I mean, it caught my eye. 56-21 against Winsboro at halftime. I was like, what is that? Like, who got hurt? What's happening? And sometimes even with Dave Campbell's little widget scores, people put in crazy scores. And I just, I had to go research it. I was like, that ain't right. And yeah, the final score was, a little bit closer than that, but they did the dominance that I did not expect at all. And like I said, Malakoff has just been trending. It's just been not as crisp as it's been in the past. So Morgan convinced me. I'm going to go. I hate picking against my own DFW teams, but I like seeing new teams. I like seeing new teams make it in advance. So at least that part of me is gonna go with Liberty-Eylau. But I don't think the winner of this is necessarily guaranteed to win state.
Oh,
I was about
Columbus
to invite
might
you
have
to the pregame meal before state, but after that statement, I don't know.
Oh man,
I still want the invite.
That's impressive.
Yeah, Jerry, you're in the building. We're gonna get you a credential down there. We're gonna have a good time.
Morgan, that's impressive that you got the professor to change his pick against his supposedly DFW Malakoff. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's not supposed, sir. Henderson County is literally in DFW media. If there's a thunderstorm warning in Henderson County, you will see it on WFAA. Just say.
Yeah. Kyle's he doesn't want to argue. He's like, never mind, I don't want to argue it. It's only the good teams you claim. I mean, you caught to claim Longview too. He's like the DFW's own Longview. Morgan is Longview.
No, he cannot claim Longview. Longview is Mr. East Texas. You cannot. No. Longview's unclaimable. Longview's its own thing.
Yeah, I knew that would get you, Morgan. See, he puts the Longviews in the DFW rankings. Have you seen his rankings? He moves them over there.
No, you didn't.
Why would you not rank Longview with DFW schools? I mean, how stupid is it when the Dallas Morning News is like number 8 Forney against unranked Longview? It's stupid. You need to know what Longview is to understand what Forney, Rockwall Heath is. So you got to rank them.
They're trying to make money. Y'all know how this goes. I get it, but you can't say, just rank Longview as a DFW school. That seems odd, especially since they don't get to recruit like your DFW schools.
I mean, you can recruit in East Texas. I just don't. It's out there.
Yeah, only one team gets to recruit in East Texas. Let's just give you that real, okay? But hey, South Oak Cliff, DeSoto, Duncanville. We need to figure out what's going on there.
You get KO to have an investigative journalism thing, and y'all can spend some resources.
The UIL wouldn't recognize it. Don't even worry about it. UIL wouldn't recognize it.
I just do a nice little softball up to you guys. Let y'all just hit it back and forth there.
I want nothing to do with this.
All right, the last pick of our East Texas picks, the game 7 here. DeSoto and Longview. All right, Morgan, I know who you're going to pick. I'm going to let you try to sell everybody else on your Lobos here.
Well, it's a very tough sell. And I don't know that I have a great sales pitch for it. All right. Here's what we can do. That ain't a good one. I'm taking Longview because I'm a homer.
There you go. That's
we're used to being the underdog, let's say. And
I don't know. That's not.
I mean, I'm trying. I don't know. Like, hey, this is a.
No, here you go.
As y'all called it earlier, a Hail Mary kind of pick. But listen, if I'm betting on anybody that doesn't have a chance, I'm gonna bet on a Lobo that doesn't have a chance.
Okay. I was going with maybe we're only an underdog because we were in 5A and we were just dominating, and then now we've had to go up to 6A, and now we're the underdog, but we can come out on top because.
Well, listen, this is going to be a different brand of football than DeSoto is used to. Like I think if you went position for position, okay, yeah, Longview's not supposed to win this game. But Longview's got some dog in them, literally. And they play smash mouth football. Now that doesn't always match up well. You saw years ago in state championship games, they get down there playing like Travis, where they're really good at throwing the ball. That doesn't match up well with that kind of football. But DeSoto is going to respect the Lobos when they come off that field one way or another.
Yeah, I don't blame you one bit. Man, I don't want to pick against Longview, but I think their season ends here. I mean, DeSoto is DeSoto. I mean, you mentioned it. They get the cream of the crop over there in DeSoto. I mean, they're always a good team. I'm cheering for the Lobos, but I'm going to pick the DeSoto Eagles to get the win.
You know, I watched Longview and Lancaster. I was there, and Lancaster pissed that game away. Longview had no business winning that game. They shouldn't have even been competitive in that game. And through Lobo magic and Lancaster self-collapse, you got what you got out of that. I mean, Lancaster was running at will 8 to 10 yards. I'm not used to seeing that on Longview. I'm not used to watching a DFW team just shove it down Longview's throat and say, here you go, stop it. And you can't stop it. And they managed to lose the game. Kason Brooks, like, he's the name I remember. I don't remember Boozy, and especially in that game. I don't remember Boozy. Kason Brooks was the name that caught my attention. He was a complete stud in that game. But watching Lancaster basically have their way with Longview and knowing that DeSoto beat Lancaster by 5 touchdowns, this ain't happening for Longview. It's going to be a blowout.
I'm going to go with Coach Claude Mathis, the former Marshall Maverick coach in East Texas, and I'm going to go with the DeSoto Eagles.
I ain't picking against Boosie and the Longview Lobos. Give me Coach King and the Lobos to take down the defending state champs. I'm with you, Morgan. Let's do it, Longview. Let's go.
There you go. They got you.
Nobody? Morgan, I can't even get you to.
You were I felt like you might have been paid. You were so hyped about it.
He's laughing because he doesn't believe you. He's like, he picked Homer picks. If this is any other team going against DeSoto, Morgan's going with DeSoto. But this would have been me picking like Chapel Hill versus DeSoto. Man, I'm going with Chapel Hill all the way.
I'm picking Longview because it's East Texas. Is it? Well, not necessarily because
nobody expected Longview to be here. Nobody expected them to be here.
No,
okay,
I didn't expect Longview to be here either.
Yeah, and Longview, doesn't do, the whole, hey, we're happy to be here kind of thing. Play to win. DeSoto is loaded. But I think the Lobos, they have a chance. Let's don't act like they don't. But yeah, DeSoto is absolutely manufacturedly loaded.
Well, here's the thing.
In a way that just can't happen in East Texas.
If Longview turns the ball over 6-7 times like they did in the first round, then it may be 100-0 by the end of the day. So they're gonna have to play kind of like as we talked about earlier. I forget who we were talking about, but it's going to be they're going to have to play a near perfect game to win Van, trying to beat Carthage. It's kind of the same thing. Longview is going to have to play a near perfect game or a perfect game to beat DeSoto. Is it possible? Absolutely. Do I think it'll happen? Who knows? Maybe. It's Texas high school football. Anything can happen.
Yeah, Longview might 3 to 4 yard them to death. If that's possible, then, that's really going to hinder DeSoto putting up 60 points. But that's what Longview's good at. They can keep these games like this close. But yeah, DeSoto is absolutely loaded. But I said the same thing about Texas High and P&G.
Can we quit this poor boy?
Hey, listen, no, y'all get to. We're king of Texas. We're king of. Let us take the best kids in our area and put them all on one team and see what happens. Okay, let's don't act like y'all are doing that.
Nobody expected us to be here, kind of stuff. Name and Forest had like 6 losses.
School in the state. Who expected us to be here?
Klein Collins had 5 losses. Everybody expected you to be here because of the very weak division. We dealt with Cedar Hill getting this far last year in the same exact bracket spot. Everybody expected Longview to be at this spot, but everybody's going to expect DeSoto to take care of business, and they are going to take care of business. But this whole get over yourself with that. Everybody I called it the Longview bracket for because I expected them to win the bracket on paper until they laid a complete egg against Naaman Forest. And then I changed my mind. I was like, wow, that's pretty bad. I mean, everybody's beating Naaman Forest by 10. So, and then Lancaster should have beat them. And Klein Collins, a fourth place team that, Ward, my podcast host, told me is not a top 20 Houston area team. Yeah, you beat them. Congratulations. You're expected to be here, but you're not part of the elite.
Hey, Kyle, he ain't gonna know what I'm talking about. But next week, after Longview gets this dub, I'm gonna hit him up with a "How you like me now?"
Oh man! All right. Did everybody pick? All right, I thought so. All right,
got two Longviews in there.
We're gonna. So that's the East Texas games that we have. We got 3 bonus games that we'll throw in to make our 10 picks this week. A game that Morgan's he's already picked this one. We got Sock versus P&G. It's actually a state championship game last year here in the regional final. Man, give me Sock, man. I think they're all over P&G in this one. Diggs and Morgan all said earlier about this game is Sock's ready for this one. They built their team to beat P&G. I think they're just going to have that too much of elite speed, and it's going to be a tough matchup for P&G. So I'm going with South Oak Cliff.
Let me interrupt you, Brett, because I got the call to go pick up a kid. So give me the 3 games, and I'll just pick them quick. I'll take Sock over P&G.
All right, we got Columbus and Franklin.
Got Columbus over Franklin.
And North Shore at Tascasita.
North Shore big.
Ooh.
I'm out of here, gentlemen. Morgan, you're going to see how you like DFW now, the recruiting machine that we are.
We'll see you Thursday, Dick.
Hey, at least somebody admitted it up there.
That's true. All right, what do you guys got in this game? Oak Cliff, P&G.
The Bears.
Give me Sock. Give me the Golden Bears.
All right, we got Columbus and Franklin. Man, this is a loaded region. Columbus knocked off Westwood earlier, one of our teams here in East Texas. Grayson Rigdon, man, that kid, he has won state every single year. He has never lost in the playoffs. I think that continues. I know Franklin's a storied program, but give me Columbus in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking Columbus in the fighting Grayson Rigdon.
Yeah, Grayson Rigdon. I mean, yeah, you're right. Franklin is one of the more historic programs in the state, especially in 3A and all that. But Grayson Rigdon's just a winner, and he's just going to keep winning. And so I'm riding that Grayson Rigdon train. So go Columbus.
Y'all know what y'all are talking about. Let's go Franklin just because.
There you go. Might gain a pick there. You never know. All right, game 10. North Shore, Tascasita, rematch in district play. A thrilling game as North Shore won 27-23 earlier in the season. Man, this is a good one. I remember seeing this game, some highlights of it earlier in the season. I think it's going to be a battle. Diggs think it's going to be a blowout. I do think North Shore wins, but I think it's going to be another great game.
I know nothing about either one of these teams. I trust the professor. Give me North Shore.
Ooh, trust the professor.
Yeah, North Shore's just, again, they're just good. They've been good. They're going to continue to be good. They're one of those programs like you referred to earlier, Morgan. They've always been good. They're going to keep getting good. They're going to continue to be good. And I'm going with North Shore.
Yeah, I mean, North Shore is a clear pick on this one.
All right, Kyle, what's the KO game of the week? You didn't announce that.
Well, I'm going to be in Forney at the Citibank Stadium for the Kilgore Battle of the Bulldogs, Kilgore and Chapel Hill. Baby.
Let me show you the sign right here. This is what you do when
what is that?
It's the CH. CH Bulldogs.
That's why you like the Longhorns.
They must teach H is different over there on that side.
Yeah, I don't think that is doing what you say it's doing.
That's our son, man. That's
I can't show favoritism, but anyway, I'll be in Forney Friday night, and then Saturday I'll be in Waco at McLean to shoot some highlights of the Longview DeSoto game. So see some good high school football this week.
I'll see you there.
Okay. So Morgan, where are you going to be this week? I know you'll be at that one.
So Yeah, so Friday I'll do the LE game. Saturday I'm going to go down there, and I just got. I'm going to send someone else the Big 12 championship game. I don't even know what time that game is, but it doesn't matter with it being a 3 p.m. game in freaking Waco.
It's not Longhorns are not in anymore, so it doesn't matter, right? You know, Longhorns are going to this other game over there.
ASU baby, Sun Devils. I love me.
Yeah, Clayton Smith, former Texas Tiger, starting defensive end at ASU. I hadn't seen him play collegiately yet. I was kind of looking forward to that, but
CJ Fight, former Tatum Eagle, plays defensive end for ASU.
Okay,
there we go. Jaron, you got a nice little trek. You're gonna be out on Thursday.
Yeah, we're going to see the Warriors and the Rams over in the Star. That'll be cool.
You get to hang out with Diggs and
yeah,
should be a lot of fun.
Diggs' first game on the headset. That's going to be a wild experiment there, but it'll be fun. And you get Josh in the room with them. That's going to be a party.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And I'll be Friday over in Palestine for that big matchup between Woodville and Dangerfield. And I guess from what Morgan says, I'm going to be refereeing here. Maybe I might have to have my mute buttons and buttons there to turn people down.
Friday, I may I think I may make my way over to Pine Tree for a little Carthage van, hang out with my brother.
Okay.
And see some
come over to Liberty-Eylau, dude. That game ain't gonna be worth seeing.
Dude, speaking of your brother, he walked up behind me Friday afternoon, and I swear it was you. And I looked for a second, and I looked at him, and I'm like, wait a second. That's not Jaron. I know he's calling a game right now. So it's got to be his brother, Darren. And he walked up. He said, "Hey, man." I said, "Are you Darren?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "You look exactly like your brother."
I have a twin brother, Morgan. He works at Carthage. So we've been freaking people out for a long time with this kind of deal. So
that's fun. Well, it's
going to be kids you send down there.
It's going to be a fun week of football. We got lots of good stuff going on, and Morgan, thanks for joining us tonight. It's good to have you on, and tell everybody if they haven't seen you guys' show, when y'all going to have a show this week, the Sideline, I'm assuming.
Yeah. It'll be every Thursday. Well, not every Thursday morning, but during football season, 7 a.m. I'm not an early riser at all. Have no reason to be up at 7 a.m. So it's a chore sometimes, but I enjoy it. About 7:30, I wake up and really start going in on Buddy for no reason. I just have to find reasons sometimes.
Hey, I enjoyed the Buddy the banter on our show last week with Buddy, and I'm telling you, he made us turn some heads, and it was good because
he's a troll, man.
Yeah, it was good.
He's a Redwater dude at heart, but he claims hooks.
Okay, because we actually
be sure y'all send him that I said that.
We and my Brook Hill guard beat Redwater early in the year. That's my nephew played for Brook Hill this year. We cover them all year long, and they actually played Redwater. I think that was week 1, and beat Redwater. I'll have to mention that now. Okay, gives me a little bit of. I need some ammunition. I need some ammunition there. But yeah, thanks for joining us, Morgan. We appreciate you joining, and you got to really get the whole experience. Even you got the Diggs experience tonight. So
I've seen that dude before, and I've ran into Jaron somewhere before as well.
Yeah, I don't know. No telling. I used to call up in the Texas. I used to call some New Boston stuff a few years ago, and so I've called up in the area some. So
I might have ran into your brother, maybe. He's Carthage dude.
Very possible.
Does he coach down there?
No. He's director of safety and security. So,
okay.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. That's going to do it for our Week 15 Beast from the East show. I'd like to thank Professor Mac Diggs for stopping by. For K.O. Kyle Owens, Morgan Smith, Jaron Peoples, I'm Mr. NETSN, Brett Sweeney, signing off for this week's episode of the Beast from the East show. We'll see you next week. Everybody have a great rest of your week and weekend. Good night, everybody.